Hello friends, welcome back to channel Civil Engineering Academy. In today's video, we are going to cover 50 questions and their brief explanation of topic estimation and costing. This is part 2. In previous video, I have taken the 50 more questions and their brief explanation. This 100 questions means part 1 and the part 2 of video will cover the total estimation and the costing at the basic level. If you need more explanation and the detailed video of any topic, please comment, and if you found the content of the video useful, then please like it, share and subscribe the channel. So without wasting time, let's start. Question number 1, what is a letter of intent, that is LOI? And LOI, that is letter of intent, is issued to the selected contractor indicating that the tender has been accepted. It is a pre-contract document confirming award of work before signing the final agreement. Next question, what is a work order? The work order is a formal instruction issue after the LOI, that is letter of intent, instructing the contractor to start work, and it includes start date, site handover, timeline and contract reference. Now the next question, what are the essential conditions of a valid contract? And conditions are mutual consent of both parties, then lawful considerations, then lawful object, that is purpose should not be illegal, then competency of parties, and it should be free from the fraud, and it should be in the form of written or the verbal, but usually written for the clarity. Now the next question, what is a valuation in civil engineering? Valuation is the process of determining the present work, that is a market value of a building, land or any property, and it is based on location, age of the structure, purpose of the structure, then depreciation and appreciation, then demand and the legal aspects. Next question, what are the purposes of valuation? And purposes are sale or the purchase of the property, rent fixation or tax assessment like a property tax or the wealth tax. The next is mortgage or loans, the next insurance, compensation in case of acquisition, investment decision. These are the different purposes of valuation of a property. What are the different methods of valuation? There are the different methods of valuation like rental method of valuation, direct comparison method, capital value method, development method, the next is depreciation method, the next profit based method, and each method is chosen based on the type and the use of property. Now the next question is, what is the rental method of valuation? And in this method, the net annual rental income is capitalized to find the capital value of the property. It is given by the formula capital value is equals to net annual income multiplied by the year's purchase. Year's purchase is in the short form is YP. Now the next question is, what is the year's purchase, that is YP. YP is the inverse of the ratio of interest expected from the investment, and formula is YP is equals to 1 upon the rate of interest. For example, if interest is equals to 5%, then YP is equals to 1 upon 0.05, that is equals to 20. Now the next question is, what is the depreciation in the valuation? And answer is, depreciation is the reduction in the value of the property due to wear and tear, age, obsolescence, that is outdated design or technology, because of the poor maintenance and because of the natural calamities. That depreciation is there in the valuation of the property. Now the next question is, what are the methods of calculating depreciation? And methods are straight line method, constant percentage method, the next is sinking fund method, the next quantity survey method, and annuity method. These are the different methods of calculating depreciation. Now the next question, question number 12, what is the straight line method of depreciation? And answer is, in this method the value reduces equally every year throughout the life of the asset, and the formula is depreciation per year is equals to original cost minus scrap value and divided by the life in years. Now the next question is, what is scrap value? And scrap value is the residual or salvage value of a building or asset at the end of its usable life, and it may be due to the value of materials like steel, bricks, woods, etc. after demolition. Now the next question is, what is the book value and the market value? Book value is the value of the property as per accounting records, that is original cost minus depreciation. But the market value is a price that a property will fetch in an open market under the normal conditions. Next question is, what is the rate analysis in estimation? Rate analysis is the detailed calculation of the cost per unit of construction items, and it involves quantifying all material, labor and equipment needed, then applying the current market rates and including overheads and the profits, and the next calculating a unit rate, example cost per cubic meter of a concrete, like that, and it helps in the preparing accurate estimates and bids. The next question is, what are the components included in the rate analysis? And answer is, many components are included in the rate analysis, like material charges, labor charges, tools and the plants, then overhead charges and profit. Like material is equals to quantity into rate of all material required. Then labor charge is also calculated like that, number of workers multiplied by wages per day multiplied by days required, and in that there are the different type of workers are there, like the skilled labor, unskilled labor, and like that. Also tools and the plants, in that the cost of a machinery or the equipments used are calculated. The next is overheads. Site office expenses, supervision, etc. are included in the overheads. Then next is profit. Contractors' expected profit margin is included in the rate analysis, and it is generally 5 to 15% of the total cost of the project. Now the next question is, what is the difference between measurement sheet and abstract sheet? And measurement sheet, it includes detailed record of the measured quantities, and in abstract sheet summarize the total quantities and the cost used for the payments and records is included. The next question is, what is the importance of completion certificate? And answer is, a legal document certifying that the construction is complete and built as per the specification, and it is required for the payments, occupancy and the record keeping. Now the next question is question number 19. What is the standard data source for the material rates? And material rates can be obtained from market price quotations, government schedule of rates, that is SOR. Then next is vendors or suppliers catalogs, and next is the previous project records, and these rates are the periodically updated for the accuracy. The next question is, how do you calculate the quantity of materials for the rate analysis? And material quantities are the derived from structural and the architectural drawing, and standard formula is used for this is nothing but the volume is equals to L into B into H, that is length into breadth into height for concrete. And the next step is taking into account the wastage percentage, that is considered 2 to 5% for the different type of material. The next is question number 21. What is wastage allowance in the rate analysis? And answer is, wastage allowance is the extra quantity of materials included to account for the losses during handling, transportation, cutting or mixing errors. Typically ranges from 2 to 10% depending on the material. Next question is question number 22. How is the cost of tools and plant accounted for in the rate analysis? And answer is, cost of tools and the plants is calculated by rental or depreciation cost of machinery or fuel and the maintenance expenses, next operator wages, and divided over the estimated work volume. The next question is, what is the importance of overhead charges in the rate analysis? And overhead cover indirect costs such as site supervision, office expenses, electricity, safety measures and insurance. So to maintain the proper estimation, it is important to keep the overhead charges in the rate analysis. Now the next question number 24. How is contractor's profit considered in the rate analysis? And answer is, contractor's profit is a percentage added over the total cost, that is direct and indirect cost, and it varies with project size, competition, risk involved, and typically ranges between the 5 to 15%. The next question, what are the contingencies in estimation? Answer is, contingencies are the allowances made in an estimate for unforeseen or the accidental expenses which cannot be predicted accurately at the time of estimation, and they cover design changes, price fluctuations, minor errors in the quantities, or unforeseen site conditions. The next question is why it is important to include contingencies in an estimate. It is important because it prevents the cost overruns, it provides financial buffers, it helps to avoid frequent revision of estimates, and it ensures smooth project execution despite uncertainties. So it is always important to include contingencies in an estimate. Now the next question is what is the usual percentage of contingencies included in the estimate, and answer is typically contingencies range from the 3% to 10% of the estimated cost depending on project complexity, stage of estimate, higher in the preliminary stages, and experience of estimator, and it also depends on the type of material we are using at the site. Next question, what are the provisions in the estimations? Provisions are allowances for known but uncertain items such as allowance for the water supply during construction, allowance for the power charges, and provision for the insurance or the safety measures. Now the next question, how do you decide the amount of provisions? Provisions are decided based on past project data, then site conditions, contract specifications, and consultant recommendations. The next is question number 30. What is the escalation in the cost estimation? And answer is escalation is the expected increase in the cost of material, labor, and equipment due to the inflation or the market changes or the project duration, and it is accounted for in long-term projects. Then the next question is why should escalation is included in estimates? Funds are the sufficient throughout the project. Financial planning is realistic, and unexpected inflation does not cause cost overruns. The next question, what is the difference between the approximate estimate and detailed estimate? Approximate estimate is a rough estimate and based on thumb rules like a plinth area, cubic rate, etc. for the preliminary project approval. But detailed estimate includes the detailed item-wise calculations with quantities and cost. The next is what is tender notice? A tender notice is a public invitation for the contractors to bid for a construction project, and it includes the project details, eligibility, submission deadlines, and the conditions. Now the next is what are the measurement books, that is MB in construction. Measurement books are the official records maintained on site to record the actual work done, which forms the basis for the contractor payments. Now the next question is explain the purpose of rate analysis. Rate analysis determines the unit cost of an item by considering materials, labors, overhead, and profit margins. It is used to prepare the estimates and bid prices. The next is what is running account bill, that is RA bill. An RA bill is a periodic payment made to the contractor based on the actual quantity of the work done as measured and verified on site. The next question, question number 37. What is the difference between the secured advance and the mobilization advance? Then answer is secured advance is paid to the contractor against the material brought to the site, and mobilization advance is paid to the help the contractors set up site infrastructure. Next is what is a comparative statement in tendering. A comparative statement lists all the tenders and their quoted rates, facilitating comparison to select the most suitable bid. The next is what is an NIT, notice inviting tenders. An NIT is an official document inviting bids from the contractors detailing project scope, eligibility criteria, and submission details. Now the next is differentiate between the provisional sum and prime cost sum. Then provisional sum is the estimated amount for the uncertain work to be decided later. But the prime cost sum is a set amount for the specific item like the fixtures to be supplied by the contractor. The next is what is a star rate? A star rate is a special rate decided for an item of work whose rate is not covered by the schedule of rates. What is a penalty clause in contracts? A penalty clause enforces a fine on the contractor for the delay or non-compliance, encouraging timely completion. Question number 43. Define contract agreement. A contract agreement is a legal document between the client and the contractor outlining terms, conditions, and scope of work. Next question, what is a work charged establishment? Staff engaged directly for the construction project and whose salaries are charged to the project cost is nothing but the work charged establishment. Now the next is, what is liquidated damages? Liquidated damages are predetermined compensation paid by the contractor for project delay or non-performance. The next is, what is a bar bending schedule, that is BBS. A BBS lists details of reinforcement bars, size, shape, length, number, and bending details, adding in the fabrication and the cost estimation. The next question is, what is the difference between the administrative approval and technical sanction? Administrative approval is a consent from the authority for the project execution and funding, but the technical sanction is approval of the detailed estimates and design by the engineering department. This is the basic difference between the administrative approval and the technical sanction. Next question, what is a scrap value? Scrap value is the estimated residual value of a structure or the equipment at the end of its useful life. The next question is, what is the importance of specification in estimates? Specifications define the quality, material, workmanship, and the standards, ensuring consistency in the construction and cost calculations. The next is question number 50. What is an overhead crane in the context of construction costing? An overhead crane is a heavy equipment used for lifting large loads. Its cost is accounted in the estimates for the project needing lifting operations. It includes maintenance and the depreciation of equipment also. The next question, question number 51. What is the difference between the tender and contract? A tender is nothing but the offer submitted by the contractor to undertake work at a specified rate, and the contract is a legally binding agreement between the client and the contractor after acceptance of a tender. The next is, what is a preliminary expenditure in the public work? An expenditure on the surveys, soil tests, and design before the detailed estimates and approval are obtained. The next is, what is a muster roll? A register recording attendance and the wages of the daily wages worker on a construction site is called as a muster roll. And then next question, what is the purpose of a site order book? An on-site log where instructions from the engineers are recorded, ensuring compliances and the proper record keeping. Hey friends, thank you so much for watching video till end. If you found the content of the video useful, then please like it, share and subscribe the channel.